ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
Welcome into the Wednesday, June 8th edition. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling 877-420-TALK. That's 877-420-8255. The text line is open as well, 304-396-TALK. That's 304-396-8255. 8255. We've got two guests I'm excited to talk to today coming up in the next few minutes. It's Wednesday, so you know what that means. You know what that means. It means from the Charleston Dirty Birds, Lindsey Webb. I've got Adam Williams coming in studio. I'm not used to that. So that's what we've got coming up on the show this hour. We will, again, get your phone calls and text him. I got to start off, though, with some pretty disappointing news. Twitter, of course, the press conference of the world, Will Ulmer making the announcement today that he's hanging it up. That was surprising for me. He said on Twitter today, quote, "There comes a time in every football player's life where they must hang up their cleats, and for me, that day is today. This was a decision I made after spending hours praying on the subject. I'm extremely grateful to the Buffalo Bills organization and Coach McDermott for giving me the opportunity of a lifetime. Once I reached the pinnacle of organized football, it became glaringly obvious to me that there are much more important things in life than the game of football. To all the coaches that spent time working with me, I am eternally grateful. You all have played a huge role in molding me into the man I am today. I would also like to thank my family and support system for the endless support in pursuing my dreams from the time I could walk. Without them, I would never have made it. I look forward to being a more present son, brother, boyfriend, and a happier person altogether." So he's deciding what's best for him, and I respect that completely. I hate it, though, because I would have loved to have seen more Will Ulmer on the football field, but I don't hate it at the same time because whatever makes Will Ulmer happy, I'm 100% with. You got to take care of yourself sometimes. It's a very hard decision sometimes to make, to actually take care of yourself. That I speak from experience. Genuinely. It's very hard to take care of yourself. It's very hard to make the decision to take care of yourself. It's very hard to allow yourself to take care of yourself and not do things out of obligation, out of, okay, well, they'll be disappointed in me, or that's what I'm expected to do. You know, so many lists of things here. So that is sad for me to hear because I wanted to see more Will Ulmer on the football field. But at the same time, he's doing what's making him happy, so I'm 100% with him all the way on that. NBA Finals coming up tonight. We've got it for you right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Warriors even this one up. It's now 1 apiece. That was after the 107-88 victory on Sunday. Boston wins the first game of the series, 120-108, in come-from-behind fashion. So this one's going to be interesting tonight. Boston's going to play host in Game 3. We've got it for you. Tip-off set for 9. We go on the air with the pregame coverage at 8 right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Now, yesterday, I'm not surprised by the outcome. Game 4 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Tampa Bay Lightning get the win over the Rangers 4-1 to even up the series, 2 games apiece. Philip Hedl went out at one point. Ryan Strome. That was a question there for how he was performing, but you lose Philip Hedl, and I thought, okay, that's not good. That's not good. He has been anchoring that kid line, doing a lot for the Rangers there. He should be back, so we'll find out what happens. Game 5 is coming up. It's now going to be a best of 3 here. 2 of those games are at MSG. The Rangers, ever since losing that overtime match against Pittsburgh, have been solid at home. And this has been a series, home team wins. Home team has control. I don't know what's going to look like next round for either one of these teams, depending on the outcome of this series, but home team has had the advantage so far. Rangers also have been in this position before. When it gets tough, game 5, 6, and 7, that's when the Rangers really start showing up. So we'll see if the Rangers got enough gas in the tank to keep it going. It's back in New York. We'll have game 5 for you coming up. That's tomorrow right here on our sister station, Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. We have Pirates baseball coming up tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Pirates lost last night to the Tigers 5-3. And then again today, 3-1. So it's a 2-game series, and the Tigers sweep. You know who's happy about that? Storm Tracker 13 meteorologist Spencer Atkins. That's who's happy about that. That's who's happy right now about that. You know who's not happy about that right now? Our in-studio producer, Christian Palmer. Not happy about that. Spencer's a bigger deal, Christian. Sorry. Storm Tracker 13, meteorologist of the century, your friendly face on the TV. He's happy. Pirates are back on the road. Oh, this is going to be tough for them. I like how you put this. It's going to be a tough – see, again, Christian's in charge of a lot of the notes on the show. It's going to be a tough road stretch for them. 8 games in 7 days. I mean, come on, it's baseball. It's baseball. They play every day. It's not going to be tough. Take it on the Braves and then take it on the Cardinals. So we've got that for you. Coming up, first pitch tomorrow is set for 7:20. We'll have it here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So looking forward to seeing if the Pirates can bounce back. So what do we got coming up? Tonight, we've got Lindsey Webb. We're going to get her on the phone here in the next few minutes. I call her Director of Fun. Her long title is Director of Marketing, Entertainment, and Media Relations for the Charleston Dirty Birds. The Birds, once we talked to their basically head honcho last week, we talked to the head honcho, and they've now picked up 4 out of they're looking to pick up their 4th win in 5 games. Again, it's that rub you get from the show. I'm not saying that it's a real thing, but I'm saying it's a real thing. You get a rub from the show. So the Birds back in action. We've got Lindsey coming up, and then later on, Adam Williams is going to be in studio. We'll talk to him. He is joining the Marshall basketball staff, and of course, you know the name because his family sort of, there's some basketball royalty here. Adam, the son of Tex Williams, who, of course, is a member of that Marshall Athletics Hall of Fame. So already you've got a nice pedigree going. I'm sure that there are things that he's looking forward to doing at Marshall, and you're probably going to be excited to follow along with him because of the in-state history and the fact that, I think he brings some youth to the Thundering Herd, sorely needed. We'll talk to him. He's going to be in studio, and we'll do all that when we continue with this edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
It's been a couple of weeks, but it's time to welcome back to the program the Director of Marketing, Entertainment, and Media Relations. She's the Director of Fun. Lindsey Webb is with us. How you doing, Lindsey? It's been a while.
I know. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I asked you yesterday. I was like, okay, what do we got planned for today? And you're like, me. So I was ready to go. I knew this would be fun. How about those Dirty Birds? We're looking to pick up number 4 and 5. Beat up the Gastonia Honey Hunters 7-5 yesterday. Oh, okay. Took a good lead, lost it, came back. I'm sure you were happy because that's entertaining baseball.
Oh, yeah. We saw some fans on social media yesterday saying that yesterday's game was the most exciting win. So, you know what? If we had to take if they had to take the lead for a minute for that to bring some excitement in, that's fine. That's fine, as long as we come out on top at the end.
So what's happening this week with the Dirty Birds? Of course, we've got the team trying to win again. We like that. That's always good. But of course, when we have you on, we always talk about all the fun things that are going on. Today is a winning scratch-off Wednesday. I just want to know about the Hawaiian shirt giveaway and where's mine. That's what I really want to know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think everyone's, wondering about the Hawaiian shirt giveaway. It is the loudest, boldest Hawaiian shirt that you have probably seen in a long time. It's really exciting. I think a lot of people really enjoy it. I've been, over the last couple games, kind of going out on the field showing everyone, hey, make sure you come this Friday. The first 1,000 fans are going to get this Hawaiian shirt for free, so everyone's been really excited about it.
Feel good to get back at home. I know the ballpark was playing host to the high school tournament, so now the Dirty Birds are back, and you've got a pretty long homestand, it feels like, several games for fans to come out. Does it just feel good to be able to have ball games again at the ballpark and just enjoy it for a couple of weeks?
Oh, yeah, it definitely does. When the team goes on the road, it's just so lonely around here. There are no fans in the ballpark. The players aren't here causing commotion and having fun, and we just miss it every time they hit the road. We're like, do you have to go on the road? Just stay here. But then it is a nice little break for everyone to just kind of, sit back and relax, and then we'll just do it all again when they come back to town. But they're back, and we have great weather, and that's all we can ask for. What
do? You mentioned it's lonely there. What are some of the activities in the office at the ballpark when the team's not actually there? I mean, you had the high school tournament, so that kind of helped a little bit. But all in all, when the Birds aren't there, what do you do?
Yeah, we're just planning for the next series, essentially. So we do all of our preseason prep in the off season, or all of our season prep in the off season, and then we kind of get it to that pre prep, and then in season when the team hits the road, the front office is we're at our desks plugging away, making sure everything's all set for the next coming homestand for the next one after that, and just that we're in good shape for the end of the season. It's just kind of nonstop around here. So I think a lot of people, they are like, well, what do you do? Do you just get that whole week off when the team's on the road? And I'm like, no, no, we don't. We definitely do not. And our box office is still open when the team's on the road for people who want to come get tickets. So, our box office is plugging away at that, and everyone else is just kind of making sure everything's ready for the next homestand in their departments.
I love that question. When the team's not home, what do you do? It must be so terrible or great just to not have anything to do for a week. Yeah, as if they really knew what happens in any form, any level of basically sports, not the team level, just all the other levels of sports, administration, promotions, everything that's not the game, the team.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, well, I just work a normal 9 to 5 when the team's on the road. But when the team's in town, I work 9 to midnight.
That's not bad. We're talking 9 a.m., by the way, not 9 p.m. 9 a.m., midnight.
No. Yeah.
And then right back at it again. So,
yep.
Lindsey's with
us.
But
it's great.
The director of marketing, entertainment, and media relations. I got to work on that. Oh, by the way, did you hear any of my promotional ideas from last week that I threw out there? Did any of those get kicked up to you?
You know what? They didn't.
I can't believe that.
You might have to fill me in.
I can't believe that. So I heard that the Charleston Dirty Birds, the originator of the announcer on helium.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I suggested next level, put the umpire on helium.
I love it. Can you imagine? We'll just mic him up and strike on helium. That would be great.
I think that should happen here. You need to make that happen. So apparently my ideas didn't get kicked up to you, so I'm just going to have to give them all directly to you. But yeah, I think that would be great. And there has to be an umpire that would be game to do that. Just take the hit of helium and call balls and strikes while on helium.
Yeah, that might be a hazard though, because there's it's pretty hot out there. I don't know. Luckily, our PA, we call him PA Pete, he's in the air condition, so we're not concerned about his safety when he's inhaling helium. But I don't know how well helium does when it's like 100 degrees outside. But you know what? I'm going to try that because I like it.
Okay, we'll pick a quiet night. It's going to be cool out and this nice night. Sign a waiver. I mean, you'll be fine. Just get the waiver signed.
There we go. Yeah, our half inning on helium has been a huge hit with the fans. I mean, you just walk around the concourse, and every time he's announcing an at-bat, you just see, like, kids are cracking up. We had one kid say, "Oh, Dusty the Dirty Birds announcing the players," and it's hilarious. And we had to get it when we debuted it. We had to get it on the internet as fast as we could because we had already heard before the game was over from 3 other teams saying that they were going to steal our idea. So we're like, oh, we have to make sure that people know that we were the first ones. We came up with that. That was our idea. We don't care if you steal it, but everyone needs to know that was us.
Joining me, Lindsey Webb, Director of Marketing, Entertainment, and Media Relations for the Charleston Dirty Birds. So we kind of touched on what's happening this week. Of course, the game itself, we're looking to see if the Dirty Birds can get another win against the Honey Hunters. But we mentioned the Hawaiian shirt giveaway, but you've got the winning scratch-off Wednesday. Thursday, it's dollar beer night and Charlie's night. What's happening on Charlie's night?
Yeah, so the team actually takes the field wearing our throwback Charleston Charlies replica jerseys. And then whenever we're announcing them, like everything is Charleston Charlies as if we were the Charleston Charlies again. So it's a really cool throwback. It brings a lot of nostalgia to some of our older fans, and they just really love it. So we do that every Thursday, and then on top of that, we have dollar beers.
So you see probably a lot of old school Charlie's gear that someone has had since they were a Charlie's fan back in the day. I'm sure you see some really old stuff. Yeah, we love it. I love seeing fans will come up and say this is an original T-shirt that I bought back at Appalachian Park back in the day when you guys were the Charleston Charlies, and I just love seeing that kind of stuff. It's just so cool. Baseball is just like a really nostalgic sport in general. I just think it brings a lot of people together, and we're in the business of making memories here, and a lot of people have really good memories of the Charlies. So we love bringing that to the ballpark once a night. Lindsey Webb's with me, the Dirty Birds back at home, and a couple of other items to talk about. Of course, we like to highlight the promotions because we've got the Mega Blast fireworks. What's the specialty jersey item? What's that look like? Yeah, so we partnered with Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Tri-State and created a really cool jersey that the team will wear on the field during our Saturday game. And then we'll auction those off on our Live Source app, which is an auction app that you can download on your desktop, on your iPhone, on your Android. And people can bid on those jerseys, and then all of the proceeds from the jerseys go to Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Tri-State. And then finally, you get the player photo giveaway. That is coming up on the 12th, and it's also Faith and Family Night. So what does that day look like? Yeah, so this season we changed our game times on Sunday. They used to be at 1 o'clock, but this season they're at 5:05. The sun is starting to go down. It's a little bit cooler out, and people can go to church and then eat brunch or lunch and then come on over to the ballpark. So 5:05 game on Sunday. We have an Anthony Seymour photo that we're going to give away to everyone that comes in the gate. And then we have Faith and Family Night. We invited a bunch of churches out, and they'll come out with their church and just kind of have a good night with the Dirty Birds. My guest is Lindsey Webb. She's the Director of Marketing, Entertainment, and Media Relations for the Charleston Dirty Birds. Got to get that win against Gastonia tonight, the Honey Hunters. I'm not feeling their nickname, the Honey Hunters. I'm just not feeling it. I hate to talk trash about the other team, but I'm going to. I'm not feeling that. Yeah, they're a brand new team. This is their second season in existence, and they have a really cool story. A documentary was made about them. Their owner is I want to say only
Black owner in professional sports, and they just had a really cool documentary about their history of their town and just kind of where their name came from. So they have a really cool documentary. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but I strongly encourage people to go watch that documentary because it gives some really cool pieces of history behind their name.
All right, I'll give it a second chance then. You've sold me on this. I'll go ahead and give it a second chance. The Gastonia Honey Hunters, but the Dirty Birds team we are rooting for. I will say this, though. I'm not really a big fan. I'll give Gastonia Honey Hunters a chance, but I'm not sure if I'm down with the upcoming match against the High Point Rockers.
Yeah, their name, so every name has a meaning behind it. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. So anytime someone's like, oh, I don't like their name, I'm like, okay, well, there is a story behind it. So High Point is actually the furniture capital of the United States, of the nation, of the world. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
All I know is that they're like known for making furniture. So they are the rockers, like a rocking chair.
But your mascot's a rocking chair.
Yeah, we do poke fun at them. It's all good fun.
It's not something menacing like the blue crabs. I mean, at least the blue crabs, that's a little bit more menacing than a rocking chair.
Yeah, that's true. They also have their alternate mascot is a horse. So I guess like the play on like a rocking horse.
Okay.
And I think that one's fun, but I think their main primary logo is the rocking chair.
All right, we'll make fun of that next week.
Yeah, there we go.
We'll make fun of it. We'll let Honey Hunter slide, and we'll focus our ire on the rockers.
There we go.
My guest, Lindsey Webb, always down for some fun. I appreciate it. She is officially the Director of Marketing, Entertainment, and Media Relations. She's basically the glue that holds that franchise together. And if you need me to say that loudly so others can hear it, I will.
Yeah, next time Chuck's on, my boss, you can just tell him that that'll be great.
Good talking to you, Lindsey. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
That's Lindsey Webb. More coming up. It's The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to the Wednesday, June 8th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I love the treatment I'm getting here these days because I'm getting guests in studio now. We used to do this phone thing. Now I'm getting in-studio guests, and I've got Adam Williams joining me. Just took the job a few days ago as an assistant coach for the Thundering Herd. How you doing, man?
I'm great, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Congratulations. I know a lot of people were excited when they found out that it was you that was coming because, of course, your name carries a lot of history here in West Virginia with your father. I know you're not trying to live off that name, but at the same time, you still have that legacy that's part of the family. How do you embrace that, knowing that a lot of people know who you are based on the history of your family?
Well, I think it's something you got to be proud of. My dad and all of his successes, I was raised through that and I lived it, I guess you can say. And so the older I've gotten, the more people say, man, your dad's a heck of a guy. That means more to me than the accomplishments, just how people see my dad as a human being. And as I've gotten older, I've come to respect the career he's had and what he's done here. And my sister played here too, Paul. So it's just it's a special place. Marshall is for our family. And I've learned to embrace all the successes my dad has had as a player and then as a coach. And he was a great example for me growing up and still is.
The obvious question would have been, why Marshall? But I think the background speaks for itself.
Yeah, it was a no-brainer for me. I have a ridiculous amount of respect for Coach Dan and what he's done here and who he is and his background. But Marshall's Marshall, and I grew up 40 minutes from this campus and, grew up going to watch Randy Moss play football and Chad Pennington play football, and I was there when, Coach Donovan was here back in the day and watching those guys play, watching Jay Will play. So I've just been a Marshall guy growing up, and Dad started taking me to those games when I was young, and my earliest athletic memories are the Herd.
Now, your career has taken you to a few different places. So what has that journey looked like as you've been trying to get back to home and to be in a position you could take this job?
Yeah, I've been all over, man. Every level, NAIA, Division II head coach, low major. Now, I was at UCF. They were mid-major to high major when I was there. I've seen it all different ways. And I've mentioned this to a number of people since I have been back. When I left Kentucky as a player and came to Marshall, I think there was some maybe taking for granted how special Marshall was. And it wasn't anything Marshall did or didn't do at the time. I think it spoke more to how grand UK is. And Kentucky basketball, I knew it was a big deal when I was 18, 19 years old, but I don't think you understand how big of a deal that is when you're in the moment living it and you haven't experienced anything else. And so I go from Marshall to Kentucky to Marshall, get back here, and I still think Marshall's a sweet place. It's awesome for a guy to play in college, but I'm comparing everything to UK. And so through my journey as I've gone along and seen all these different places, I've realized that, Marshall's at the top of the mountain from fan support, financial support, people that care. I think the care factor here is as great as anywhere I've been other than Kentucky. And it's similar to Kentucky, just on a little bit of a smaller scale from a number of fan standpoint.
Now, of course, we can't let you off the hook because you were at UCF for a while.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like UCF. You know that.
I know that. I'm aware.
You know that. Has that been brought up to you, or am I the first one?
It's not been brought up since I've been back. So congratulations, you're the first person to bring that up since I've been back.
All right, street cred continues.
Yeah, there you go. I did have a great experience at UCF. I love Orlando. My wife is still in DeLand, Florida, where Stetson is. Florida's a really, really nice place, but it's not home. It's not home. I can say unequivocally the summers are miserable down there. It's 95 degrees. As soon as you walk outside, you start sweating. Now, the people at UCF were great people, and I know that was a big rivalry. And when Coach Jones went there, that was a big deal. I understand that was a big deal. But when I got there, I did enjoy it. I think at that time, the level going from CUSA to what everybody thought was going to be the Big East was the big deal. And how college sports have shaken out, I don't think people saw it coming exactly like it did. And hindsight's always 20/20 when you look back. Maybe I'm not saying different decisions would have been made. That's not for me to say. But I do know that looking back at that time, you think they're moving into the Big East. That place has all the infrastructure to be a big-time job. But I know there's no love lost between the Herd and the Knights. I get that.
Yeah, it's a fun rivalry though. That's what makes it so great. Is because there's a school in Florida, and here's Marshall in West Virginia, and the two fan bases and the two athletic programs just like getting after each other. Of all combinations, Marshall, UCF.
Yeah,
that made no sense, but it does.
I think that the rivalry may have been small a little bit, not as much in basketball.
Yeah.
And then when Coach Jones went, man, that just, talk about pouring gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
That's what that was. And, he did a pretty good job there. Got those guys going there initially. And that rivalry, I remember I saw the video first time he came back here. Oh, my gosh, the cam was going nuts. And I don't think there were more people mad at Donnie Jones ever in his life as there were that day. That day right there was a tough day for him. I know that.
Yeah, but still, you got to understand why these decisions are made. People come, go, come back. You're here now. I know Dan has talked about trying to bring some youth back to this team. What does that really mean in regards to – because Coach knows a lot about basketball. So you know a lot about basketball. What's the youth that he's looking for to maybe help – move the program into the Sun Belt and move this program forward?
Well, I think when you look at it from a coaching staff standpoint, you want to have a well-rounded staff. And so obviously Coach D'Antoni's a little bit older, but the guy still has ridiculous energy. It's really a non-factor, but things are obviously different in 2020, 2021, 22 than they were when Coach played here, as they were when my father played here. And so I think when you look at somebody younger like myself or maybe even Corny, it's just maybe guys that can relate to the players in this time. 12, 15 years ago, which it's hard for me to even believe I say that, but I was in their spot. I was doing what they're doing right now, and I did it here. And so it's very easy. Talk about where the guys hang out, what they do, where they eat. It's like, I'm living in the Twilight Zone, remembering those days when I played not too long ago. And somebody that can bring them in and talk to them on a almost a peer level, but still as a mentor. I think that is where the age is important. Hey, man, I've been there. It wasn't that long ago. I'm not talking about walking up school to hill, or walking uphill to school in the snow and all that stuff like those old-timer stories. This is real life that I lived just a couple years ago. Here's how I got through it. This is my advice. This is what Coach Dan really means. And I just think speaking their language from a generational standpoint is what the youth is all about.
Adam Williams joins us. He was announced a few days ago as a new assistant coach for the Thundering Herd. So you got to be excited going into the Sun Belt. You get an opportunity to come back home, coach the Thundering Herd. At the same time, there's an opportunity here. You have a new athletic director. You have a lot of opportunity for change, positive growth for the program. Where do you see yourself factoring in with this basketball team? Are there things that maybe you've already brought that maybe Coach D'Antoni is thought, okay, that's a great idea, or are you at that phase yet where you can really start bringing some of these different things to him to maybe get him thinking in a different direction?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest thing with Coach is, I'm just walking through the door here. I've been here with Coach a total of about 3 or 4 days, and so we're not quite to that point yet. It's more so me just asking questions. I think the number one thing that a good assistant coach does is make the head coach's job easier. Any good assistant coach, that's what you should be doing. You have to make the head coach's job easier. So that's my responsibility. How do I do that? Listening to Coach, what he wants, being an echoing voice in the program of Coach D'Antoni. And then I think the biggest thing that people talk about, that gets the message boards going and all that, recruiting. You have to be able to recruit the right student athlete from Marshall. And I've had some success in the South being able to recruit Georgia, Florida area, and I have a lot of ties in Florida from my time down there. I've had 3 different stints living in Florida. And so I think the ability to recruit the Deep South is something that I could add to the staff. And, we all have areas that we're stronger at on our staff as far as recruiting. And I know that I add that aspect to us. But a young guy with energy, get out there on the floor, individual workouts, it's Corny and I now. And I'll take his lead, things he's been working on, watch. And, again, you never want to come in as a new guy. Ideas are good. Giving Coach ideas are great. But coming in and saying, oh, this is the way, Coach, no, that's not it. You listen first, and then you give suggestions. And I'm still in that listening phase to understand what Coach wants.
Adam Williams is with us. We're going to take a quick time out, come back. We'll wrap it up with our final segment. We'll talk a little bit more about the Thundering Herd. The fans want to know how the team looks, so that'll be the next question when we continue on this edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We're taking Paul Swann everywhere. Download or subscribe to The Drive with Paul Swann on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to the Wednesday, June 8th edition, The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I got Adam Williams in studio. He has taken the position as an assistant coach of the Thundering Herd back at the Mountain State. He's home, and a lot of people, I'm sure, already wanting to ask the important question, how's the team look? So what can you say?
What I can say is I've seen very little. I've seen one workout of the full team, and that was my, I believe, first day here on campus. So I've had a limited view. I'm impressed with our talent from top to bottom. I think that when you look at last year's the first year that we've had in quite a long time without a returning lead guard. And so you had John Elmore, who had a historic career here. Jared West had a very good career here. Last year, that team's trying to figure out, what do I do without these 2 guys who have kind of carried the mantle for the last 5 years? And so a bunch of guys trying to figure that out for the first time, and then a bunch of guys that are really good shooters just didn't make shots. And you're like, well, how does a good shooter miss shots? If they're a good shooter, don't they make them? Well, not always, And I think we had a lot of funks last year, individual guys. And so the talent overall this year, I like it. I think that obviously having Kinsey come back is huge. Man, that guy he's as talented as any player I've been around. I've seen Marshall play on TV a couple times over the years, and just seeing him in person, he's a physical specimen and a really good basketball player. And I just think from top to bottom that, the talent, there's not a lack of confidence because of how last season ended up, and the talent is good enough to have a very good team.
Also heading into a new league, the Sun Belt. What's your early impression of the new opponents that Marshall will be facing?
Yeah, that's another great question. My head is still kind of spinning a little bit from, taking care of home first, making sure my wife, my kids are good. I find a place to live. I've done what Coach D'Antoni wants me to do as far as with our guys. And so to be quite honest with you, I haven't really had a chance to dig into the new league. I know it's going to be a very competitive league. I know there's some really, really good teams in it. From what I understand, and, this just may be an estimate, but it seems like the fans are a little bit happier with the regional rivalries potentially and being able to drive to some games, and maybe not quite like it was when we were in the MAC or Southern Conference, but a heck of a lot better travel than Conference USA. And so I know that, Herd Country travels, and excited to see the fans on the road this year. That'll be outstanding.
You mentioned squaring things away with your family. I know this had to be a family decision before you took this position. So, obviously they seem to be on board with this. How excited are they coming back?
Well, my wife's a graduate. She's an alum, and we're both from St. Albans, which again is about 40 minutes up the road. And so, you look at it. The downside, my wife just finished nursing school not too long ago, even though she has a degree from Marshall, and she was kind of getting settled into a new job. But luckily, my bride understands it. She gets the coaching life and how you have to be ready to move at any time, and this was extremely unexpected, this job opportunity. But when a place like Marshall that means so much to both of us, there really wasn't any hesitation. It's more of a, we're going to take it, but now we have to figure out, the steps to make it happen. And so my kids and my wife are still down in Florida. I actually hop on a flight to go down tomorrow to see them. It's my daughter's birthday was last week, so have a little birthday party for her. But they can't wait to get up here. And I'm really, really pumped individually. My son is 6, and he loves basketball. Take him in that gym, say, hey, look, this is where Daddy played. This is where Grandpa played. That's going to be really cool for me.
Joining us on the program, Adam Williams. He is in studio, the hiring a few days ago. So I know probably in a month from now we're going to have a completely different conversation. But what do you expect after you listen for a while and kind of get a lay for the land? What do you expect your day-to-day to look like as you help bring this program forward? You have experience in so many facets. So, as you mentioned earlier, making coaches' life easier, where do you think your role is going to be targeting, as far as those things that can make his life easier?
Right. Well, I think 3 big things come to mind right off the jump. Number 1, player-coach relationships. I'm the youngest guy on staff as a full-time coach. I have to be great with relationships with our players. Every single guy from top to bottom, I have to get along with them. I have to make them feel comfortable. They have to know I'm a guy they can come talk to, and I've been where they've been. And it's one of those situations where I have to be the office those guys want to walk into. They can't ever feel like, oh man, I have to go talk to this guy. That can't be me. Okay, that's number 1. Secondly, I think from an individual workout skill development standpoint, I have to be strong in that area for our program to continue to elevate. Any good program, what they want to do, you want to recruit young men, bring them into your program, have them there 3 or 4 years, and continue to develop them and get them better as they're there. And so I think there's going to be a lot of emphasis placed on that from my standpoint. And then the third thing I've already touched on, recruiting. We can talk about skill development all you want to, but if there's not something there to work with, it doesn't really matter how much skill development you do. So bringing in the right kids, developing them correctly, and then making sure when they're here, they can talk to me, and I'm kind of that sounding board for them. That kind of would encompass, I guess, my role as a whole. And then once the season gets going, you'll have scouting reports and things of that nature. We'll all split up as a staff to do. But, I've been a head coach before, and I've been an assistant, and I've been a video guy, and I've been a GA. So I like to think anything that Coach Dan asked me to do, I can do and just make his life easier.
That'll include transfer portal. I know that's something that coaches are still – some are struggling with, some are kind of getting the hang of, and it's still not going to be definitive what that looks like next season and the season after because it's so fluid right now.
Yeah, the portal's really interesting. I'm really for it. I think the portal's a great thing. I think what it does is it really balances out college basketball, maybe kids that didn't get the correct look out of high school or they were maybe a little bit better and didn't get seen. It gives them an opportunity, if they're not happy, to go somewhere else and leave. And you know what? My view, and I'm not speaking out of turn here because I'm not speaking for Coach D'Antoni, but how I feel about it, if a young man's not happy where he currently is, why would you want to keep him? why would you not? Go, man. Go be happy, because life is too short to be miserable somewhere. If you don't like it here, if you don't like it somewhere else, go where you can be happy and live your best life, man. I think that is very, very cool. And obviously I was a transfer and I had to sit out, and I wish I didn't have to at the time. And I love that kids can do that, and I love that kids can do the NLI thing and make some money for themselves. I think they're both wonderful things.
Yeah, and that's part of the story you can tell these kids. Look, I've done this different ways, so here's how it worked for me, and here's how it's working for you.
Right, and I received a full scholarship here at Marshall, had my education paid for, not bitter by any means that I didn't receive any NIL money. I think that would be silly. But, the world progresses. It doesn't stay in the same place, and I think we're silly to think, well, because we did it 20 years ago this way, it's got to stay the same. No, let kids, go out and work a guy out or put his picture up on a billboard and make a little money. It makes life easier.
Joining us on program, it's as I get choked up here, Adam Williams is joining us on the show, and you're going to be pretty busy here as soon as you get back after some time with your family. And I know a lot of Herd fans are excited to have you here and to see what happens with Marshall basketball. And I'm sure you're going to get all those crazy questions soon. Again, how the team looks, what's going to happen in the fall, what's going to happen. I know you got to be really excited here, because this is like a reboot for Marshall basketball in so many ways. Not for any specific reason, but going into a new league offers a lot of opportunity for a lot of changes that can be positive.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. New league. Obviously I'm new, but the rest of the staff has had some continuity here and done a great job. I think anytime you're walking into a new league, you'd love to ideally plant your flag as we're one of the teams you have to beat. Don't know if we'll do that quite yet, but I know that's our goal, to do that, as any team would be. I love our talent, and I'm just excited to get this thing rolling and have a chance to impact Marshall basketball in a positive way again.
And of course, we got to get some rivalries started up. We have to pick some rivalries. We got to make a few phone calls, right? Some previous schools you worked at, get them on the roster, get them on the schedule, right?
Yeah, I've heard from a couple fans locally that I've been friends with and that have been friends with my dad. There's a couple schools down south that they would absolutely just love to play. So I don't know. We'll have to probably talk to Mark Klein about that. He handles all our scheduling. We'll see what he can get together.
Just like, hey, Mark, it'd be great to get UCF back on the schedule. What do you think? Can you work something out there? Yeah, Stetson, can you get them on the schedule? I mean, how would you feel going up against those programs? I know, there's a love for all the programs you work for, but at the same time, you're going up against them, and that's kind of the thing I've always been amazed with coaches. Some days you have to go up against the program that maybe helped you get to a part in your journey.
Right. Well, UCF, I still have a love for UCF, and I have some friends that still work there. But at the end of the day, Donnie Jones is no longer at UCF, and he's really my mentor in this business, and the guy that I played for and got me started and has hired me 3 different times. And so as I like UCF, I don't want to beat the pants off of them.
Right.
I don't want to beat UCF bad if we played those guys. Now, they're really good. They're heading into the Big 12. But I have an allegiance for working there, and I respect that school. But I think Stetson's it's not different, but it is. Still want to win the game. I'm at Marshall now, and I want to win every game we play. But you look across that sideline, and you see a mentor and a friend, and really the whole staff I'm close with, obviously, working with over the last 3 years. And so, that game's probably more of an emotional game than would be playing UCF for me.
Obviously, a lot of her fans are happy to have you here, and I'm sure we'll get you back here soon because it's great to do something like this in person again. It just feels different and better, and I'm glad that we're getting to do this, starting everything off, because I think we all miss in-person everything, including basketball.
There's no doubt. I can't wait to get the crowds back, get the Henderson Center packed. I know that when we were at Stetson this last year, our first year, the crowd started building a little bit. Historically, Stetson hadn't had great numbers, I'd say, over the last 30 years, really. But before COVID hit, it was looking promising. And then COVID hit, and ever since then, it's just really been a struggle. And so I'm hoping getting into the Henderson Center next year, we got 10,000 people in that thing, and it's packed out and loud. And the fans matter. Every coach in the world will tell you those kids feed off the energy. The more people, the louder they are, the tougher it is for the other team, and the more juice our kids will have to play.
We're out of time. Adam Williams, thanks for coming in. We'll do it again soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition. For our producer, Christian Palmer, we appreciate him for taking care of us today. More coming up tomorrow, same time, right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W231BS Huntington, broadcasting from the Oscars Breakfast Burgers and Brew Studios. This is ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.